Alright, so what I'm going to teach right now are called intervals. Intervals are the distance between two notes. Alright? So basically, every distance between two notes has an interval name, and it also has a specific kind of emotional quality to it. It's also, the intervals are how we're going to stack chords. The intervals are also how we're going to kind of visualize our scales. So that's a great starting point. Okay, so check this out. Okay, let's start learning these intervals, and then, you know, I know there's going to be a lot of talking here because it's theory, but I'm going to try and make this very practical. Okay, I'm just going to pick any random note. I'll take the A note right here, which is the 5th fret on the E string. Basically, if I take that A and I go to any other note until I'd finally get to A again up here, the octave. So in other words, every one of these notes in regarding to A, the distance, like this distance has a name, this distance has a name, this distance has a name, etc. Each distance has its own name that no matter what note you start at, you can go to that same distance and it has the same name until you eventually get to the octave. So we've got, here are the two A notes on the guitar. So that means that from this note to this note is a specific kind of interval until I get from this note all the way to the octave. So the first one is just a half step. And when I first teach guitar, I just call that a half step. But it also has a name. This note's called A. This note is called A sharp or B flat. That doesn't matter for us right now. But this distance of a half step, which also sounds like the theme to Jaws, is called a minor second. So a half step is called a minor second. Okay? A whole step distance from A to B is called a major second. So I've already used the term minor and I've already used the term major. And pretty much in music, minor has a sadder, darker, emotional quality to it, and major has a happier quality to it. It's just kind of the science of it. So we've got one note to a half step is called a minor second, and it's Jaws. A whole step distance is called a major second. So A to B is a major second. Okay, now this A, 1, 2, 3 steps up. That's called a minor third. And it's got that minor sound, so it's darker than what a major sound would be. So look at that distance, that's called a minor third. It's a very, very important, thirds are very important for us to understand. This minor third sound has that, it's the first two distances of a minor chord, and it's also the first two notes of what we call the minor pentatonic scale. Now, if I took any note anywhere on the guitar, like this one, oh, it's a D note, and I said, okay, go a minor third up, it would still be that same distance, you know, like an Iron Man or Smoke on the Water, you know. So a minor third is that really crucial distance. Okay, let's say I wanted to go a minor third up from an open E. It would be the 3rd fret. Let's say I wanted to go to a minor third up from that G note. If I wanted to go to a minor third up from this note. And also, if I'm playing a chord, let's say, you could say something like, yeah, it's an A bar chord, and now go up a minor third. Oh, okay. Go back down a minor third. You can say go down a whole step, up a whole step, up a half step. You know, so you could say half steps and whole steps instead of major seconds, minor seconds. But when you get to that third, man, you say, oh, up a minor third. That's just an example. You know, I want to use real practical examples. Okay. So we've got an A note, and this next possible note, that's called a minor second. If we go a whole step, so we've skipped a note to that note, that distance is called a major second. So also I could say, Mr. Smith, we're using an A note. What's the major second of A? Hurry, tell me. And then it would be like, a B? Correct. No paddling today. Good job. Okay, so we've got A, and then we've got this minor second distance. We've got a major second distance. Then we've got minor third, which we realized, oh, okay, we see that a lot in rock. Now, A to C sharp, not C, but C sharp, all of a sudden it has a happier sound to it. As opposed to a little darker sounding. This is a little happier sounding. And that's called a major third. Now when we start to, you see my fingers are stretched so far, we're going to start to see these intervals not just on one string, okay? But we want to be able to find the intervals from one string to another string. And that becomes important, especially for scales, let's say melodies, chord construction, you know, the building blocks. So check this out. If I take this A note and I went all the way here, so I went 1 half step, 2, 3, 4 half steps up, and I get the major third. That note, C sharp, is also right there on the 4th fret of the A string. So that means that the minor third on the string next door is right there. So if I took this A note and I said, where is the minor third of that A note? You could play it, you know, right now from my lesson, you could play it in 2 spots. You could play that, and you go, oh, that's a C, Mr. Schwartz. You're like, correct. Or that same note, C, is right here. And you're really gonna want to know that. Now, how about the major third? It's right here. And that major third interval are the first 2 notes of a major chord. And that sound of major third is also like Beatles, like okay? So I can pick any note, and this is where we, you know, this is going to be very, very important. Let's say I just picked this B flat note right here. And I said, what's the minor third of it? It's that note, which is a C sharp. Or that same C sharp is right here. Now if I took that same B flat note and said, okay, what's the major third? It's that note, and it's a D, which is also right here. Okay, let's review our intervals again real quick. We've got an A note. The next possible note or distance is A sharp or B flat, and that's called a minor second. Okay, the major second is a whole step. The minor third is another half step higher, which also, from that note, looks like this. seen my like extended scale on the pentatonic, you can see those intervals are the same in different spots, but the same tones. Okay, so we've got root, minor third, root, major third. Okay, that was the last one we did. Now we need to go to A, all the way up to here. And that's called a perfect fourth. So we don't say minor fourth or major fourth. There's just a thing called a perfect fourth. Which also is going to be, the strings are tuned in perfect fourths except for the B string. So that means also, if I have a note here and I say, what's the fourth? It's right next door. So watch. Minor second, major second, minor third, major third, perfect fourth. But now you could go like this too. Minor second, major second, minor third, major third, perfect fourth. Now perfect fourth is, that interval is Here Comes the Bride. So let's do this. Just pick some random notes and quiz ourselves. And you want to do this on your own, but random notes, quiz ourselves. Pick a note. I'm gonna do it this time. G. What is the perfect fourth of G? So what we need to do, you know, you don't have to. In music, like when you're in college for music, you're gonna get quizzed that, but that's not what we're doing. I'm just trying to help you. So if I said the perfect fourth of G, I want to just find a G note that I know. It's right there, a third fret of the E, and the perfect fourth is right next door. And it's a C note, so I could also go. So needless to say, it's going to really help if you train yourself also on kind of learning your notes on your neck a little bit. But so a perfect fourth of G. Okay. All right, what's the fourth of this C note right here? F. So that means that even if I play this one, F down here of the C, it's still the fourth. It's still a fourth. Okay, what's the minor third of G? B flat, or that B flat right here. What's the major third of G? It's a B note. Okay, let's go back to that A root. So we have minor second, major second, minor third, major third, perfect fourth, this. It's called the tritone. It's an E flat from A, which could be right here. And look at that. That's the most sinister interval. And I believe something like in the Dark Ages or just a long time ago, you know, when there were shields and swords. I don't know. If a composer played that interval, they would get executed because of they called it the devil's interval. So needless to say, you probably imagine it's in heavy metal a lot, and it is. Okay, so look at that. So here's what it looks like on one string. Here it is on two strings. So that's called the tritone, and it's the sinister tone. So we've got minor second distance, major second, minor third, which is really important, major third, perfect fourth, tritone. So we've got root, minor third, major third, perfect fourth, tritone. Now we're left with this interval, A to E. And that, my friends, is called the perfect fifth. It's Star Wars. It's also the power chord, which is called a fifth.